Good. How are you? Well, good afternoon. Welcome back to our virtual town hall meeting. It is Monday, June the 8th, 2020. I'm very excited to really kind of come back to you and talk a little bit about some of the things that are going on in the school district. I know that it's been probably about a month since I've done these. We were kind of going through COVID-19 and really trying to figure out during the quarantine what we were going to do. We did distance learning for 24 days, so I felt like that because we haven't done an update, it was really good for us to kind of go through a couple of items today and kind of give you some ideas of what's to come. The topics I'm going to talk about today is one is high school graduation. I think everybody's really excited about that. I want to give you an update on the bond projects that are happening. They're happening all over the city, so it's very exciting to see that. And then really, what does it mean for next school year? I think a lot of people are asking the question, what are we going to do? What is the right thing to do, and how are we going to move forward? And then I'm going to go through a survey. There's a survey that we're going to put out live after this telecast, and after that, we'll try to do our very best to get information back to you quickly so that we know kind of where we're at for next year after the survey is taken. And then I'm going to take some community questions. So let's start off with our graduation. Boy, has it not been interesting to see kind of everything that people have done across the country. I mean, we have everybody from the East Coast to the West Coast really taking a different approach. Some have done virtual, some have done in person, and then some have done their own thing. I actually watched this morning on, I think it was the Today Show, there was a young man that actually set up his own party in his front yard and really did a really great rendition of a dance that he was doing with his own graduation. So it was kind of fun to watch all of the students and kind of their creativity. We are going to host graduation here in Muskogee on Friday, June the 19th at 7:30 p.m. and we will be at the Indian Bowl. You know, originally we had said that we weren't going to give a date, but we are going to do June the 19th. It is a Friday evening at 7:30. Now, we'll tell you that there is no question that I was actually setting out back of my house last night at about 7:30, and I will tell you, I needed a fan, I needed sunscreen, and I needed a lot of water. So I'm going to tell you that my recommendation to everybody is really make sure you stay hydrated if you're attending the graduation, because it will be potentially very, very hot. A lot of people have asked, well, if something were to happen and we have a rain delay or a rain makeup, there is one day for a makeup, and that would be Saturday, the very next day. That would be June the 20th. We would do it at 7:30 at the Indian Bowl. If it rains at that point in time and it rains for 2 days in a row, we'll do something virtually and provide diplomas in that fashion. Let's talk a little bit about tickets and parking. This is a big deal because I think everybody needs to know, with the social distancing that we have going on right now, that it is really the appropriate thing to do is to stay 6 feet apart. So we're trying to do our very best to accommodate that. We definitely want our parents, close friends, those kinds of folks for our graduates to be able to celebrate this momentous occasion with them. So there will be 6 tickets. We're going to provide 6 tickets to every graduate. They will receive these at their practice. Practice will actually occur really the day before. So on June the 18th at 9 o'clock that morning, we will do a walkthrough practice with all of our graduates, and basically they will receive their 6 tickets. Now remember, when we were at the Civic Center, we were talking about only doing 2 tickets, and we've really moved forward and said, you know, really at this point in time, we feel comfortable with giving everyone the 6 tickets. So excited about that project, about really kind of moving forward with a program that will be very something we can be proud of, and I think the students will be very proud of what they get out of that. Let's talk a little bit about the ceremony itself. It will look different, and what I mean by that is we will place all of the students on the field. They will have every 5 yards, there will be chairs that will be placed, and the students will walk in actually from the St. Joe's Church. That is actually south of the field, and what we'll do is basically walk across. We will be gathering all of our students over there at St. Joseph's, and then they will walk as a group in the processional. Okay? They will walk in. The stage will be at the other end, which is the south end, actually the north end, excuse me, at the north end. And basically what will happen is the entire stadium will be cordoned off for people to sit in the stands. We will not allow anybody on the field. There may be some handicap accessible areas down by the track, but basically at this point what we will do is really mark off the stands. Every other row will be marked off. So that should keep us socially distanced from other family members and other people that may be in the stadium. So you're going to have to work with us. I mean, I think the biggest thing at this point is really being careful, being safe, and doing this the best we know how to do. And that is making sure that we're using all of the personal protective gear and equipment that we can find. We will be wearing masks. I was going to tell you that all of the graduates and any of those that are actually interacting with the students will be wearing masks. So we will not shake hands to get the diploma. What will happen is the row that will be receiving their diplomas will go out, come around. Their name will be announced. They'll go up on the stage, go across, and they will pick up their diploma, hold their diploma, take a picture, and walk off. Because we don't really want to shake hands or be within a close proximity. So that's kind of our process that we will go through. And a lot of people have asked, well, will the attendees be those that are attending the event, will they have to wear masks? And the answer is no. But I will tell you that it's really important that you protect yourself and protect others. So, but we will not require masks of those that are in the audience. So, very excited for our seniors. I can't wait to see kind of that sea of green as I look out across the field. We will have our regular speakers. We'll have our Val and Sal representatives. And then we'll also have our class president and vice president there. Of course, I will speak, and our high school principal will speak. So we're excited about the opportunity to provide this to our students going out of the year of 2020. Let's go to our next topic. Our next topic is really the bond issue of 2019. And, you know, my heart goes out to a lot of people because I think this is one of those that it's a bittersweet type of thing. A lot of us that live in Muskogee actually had an opportunity to have conversation last fall. Don't forget that we voted on October the 8th of 2019 for a bond issue. And in a school bond issue, you have to have what is called 60% supermajority. So we actually got well over 70% of our patrons basically voted yes to move forward with the largest bond issue in the school district's history. With that being said, there are two buildings, or really 2 or 3 buildings, that we were really tearing down and demolishing and then rebuilding those buildings back up. In that whole thing, there's been a lot of history. There have been people that have moved off from Muskogee, or maybe they're Muskogee Roughers from 1971 or 2. Maybe they were even previous to that. There are some that basically live other places, and they've engaged in the conversation in social media saying, oh my goodness, what's happened? Why are they tearing down all of our buildings? Well, that's a conversation that we've been having for quite some time. And what I will tell you is the buildings that we are choosing to tear down needed to be torn down. There were some things that were unsafe, but also just the environment itself was unsafe. So the conditions were that it was just the right thing to do. You're looking at a building at Alice Robertson that is over 80 years old. I think 80 would be turning 81 years of this year. And then you had another building that was at least 60 years old at Tony Getz. So both of those facilities are in the process of being demolished and will be rebuilt. Now, good news is this. A lot of people have said, well, I just want a brick, or I want some memorabilia from these facilities. The good news is that we are taking pallets, stacking bricks on pallets, and actually taking them to our warehouse, and those will be used and actually basically sold back to the community. What we're doing is giving those bricks to our Education Foundation. The Education Foundation provides our school district, our teachers specifically, grants for things that they do instructionally inside the classroom. So very excited about that opportunity to actually have the foundation sell those bricks that would help their foundation grow and develop and actually give back to our teachers and to our students. Those bricks, our idea is to use what is called our Fab Lab. Our Fab Lab is a place to where we can actually stamp the bricks and put the dates on those bricks. So that's kind of our thought process, that we would engrave those bricks of the year of its opening and the year of its closing, and those would be on sale. And many of you are saying, okay, so when is that going to occur? When are we going to be able to buy those? And I would say that we will be coming out with that soon. The foundation is still having conversation about timeline, how much, all of those kinds of things. But I think the bricks and the engraving of those bricks, one, will be very affordable, but two, could even be a really neat thing for people to have. The second thing I want to tell you, and this is something that we were not expecting really at Alice Robertson. On the corner, there is a huge corner piece that was placed there back in the days that they built, it was called WPA buildings, okay? And that's where they would come back and people would be put to work and have funding so that they could actually make a living. So Alice Robertson was actually built through a WPA, as a WPA facility, and they put what's called a time capsule inside. We did not know that was even there. I know that we went back to some newspapers and some other things, but we did find that time capsule, and we're excited to announce that we will open that at the back to school. When we open this and have a grand opening, that will be part of the process, is that we will open the box and actually share with you all of the contents that's inside that. Those of you that want to go all the way back, I believe late 30s, 1939, I think, is the date that we had in the newspaper. It lists all the things that they put in the box, so it will be so interesting to see if we have all of those contents in that box. So very exciting to see, and hope that you'll be able to tune in. It's probably about this time next year that we'll have our grand opening with our new freshmen. Our ninth graders will be their new home. So all of our freshman academy students will be there the 21-22 school year. So very excited about Tony Getz. Tony Getz is really starting that same process. The demolition is occurring. We're building back 19 new classrooms, a library, new front entry. It will actually be a beautiful facility and very clean, very well done. We also are putting in a drive to where there's drop-off and pickup, and is much easier for people to kind of maneuver the morning and afternoon. Whittier, a lot of people have asked me, well, what happened with Whittier Elementary? What happened was we had really in the wintertime, it was really late February, early March, we had a pipe break in the old area, and it was so bad that the plumbing had to be completely rebuilt from scratch, and the cost was just prohibitive. So our thought is right now is to tear down that part of the building, remodel the rest of the building, and repurpose that. So Whittier will become a facility that has 12 classrooms that have been completely gutted and redone, repainted, recarpet, new tile, all of that. So it will look literally like a brand new building. The library and the cafeteria are the other two spaces, and the gym or PE area will also be revitalized. So all of those areas will stay. We will have students there next year. Those students are actually the Tony Getz kindergarten through the second graders. Now, you may say, well, that doesn't make sense. Why are we doing that? Well, the problem is that when we picked up all of Whittier, we took them to Harris Job. Well, that made them, they felt like, okay, we're here now. And to move them and displace them back again just didn't make a whole lot of sense. So we're leaving them at Harris Job next year. And Whittier, for 1 year, is going to be half of their student body will be there at Whittier. The other half will be at New Tech over at AR. Remember that we have the New Tech building that is relatively brand new. It's less than 5 years old. So the third, fourth, and fifth graders will actually be in that building. So I know it's kind of hard. You kind of got to follow the bouncing ball, but wanted you to understand kind of the behind the scenes and the why behind that. So those are our three projects. I know that there are many other projects, but those are the three that, across the city that you're seeing things happen. You're seeing bulldozers, you're seeing trucks, you're seeing all kinds of different things happening at different sites, and wanted you to know that. And I'll come back and really make you aware of the other things that are happening as they occur. So the next big topic I want to talk about is next school year. So what does it really mean? What are we going to do about school? Is school going to start on time? Are we going to be on the same schedule? Are we going to do distance learning? Check all those off. I don't know, and I don't know. We are still in the process right now of really having those conversations. Right now, we have not put out a new calendar. So the instructional calendar that you have right now states that we start school on August the 12th, which is a Wednesday. I would tell you is that time frame right now is really set in stone. It could be subject to change, but right now our intention is to try to go back to normal as much as possible. But of course things could change in a heartbeat. We are doing a group called the Comeback Team. There's a committee that has been formed. There are 30 people involved in this group. So you've got parents, you've got students, you've got some administrators, teachers that are a part of this group. And what they're talking about is, what does the next school year look like? Let me show you something. This is so interesting. There's a pamphlet that you can go to online. It's the Return to School Oklahoma, and it's really found in the State Department of Education on their website. And it is full of information of really what you can do and can't do and what their recommendations are of returning to school. One of the things that this committee will do is they will actually go through this booklet and through this information and really with a fine-tooth comb and really say, okay, what are we really willing to do and what do we think is best for the Muskogee community? So our first meeting is this Thursday. We're meeting to kind of do some introductions, but also to introduce them to this document and begin the process of talking about what does school really look like. So let's talk a little bit about that. There's really three what I would call three different things or phases to this. You have a traditional school year, so basically going back to school just like we've done forever. Basically brick and mortar, going to the classroom, catching the bus in the morning, going to class, going to lunch, going to class again, and then coming home at the end of the day. There's another option called a blended approach, meaning that we would have a traditional approach, but we'd also use virtual education. So remember the distance learning that we did. We did 24 days of that this last year. Was it perfect? No, it was not perfect. But I will tell you that we still got a lot of things done by doing it virtually or doing it through distance learning. And then the third approach is basically a distance learning model. So really you've got the traditional, you've got the blended, and then the third option is really a full-fledged distance learning model. What I want to do is really kind of explain to you that there's no easy answers to this. We're going to have to do a lot of work to get us back in school. What I mean by that is there is tons of work to do about what is social distancing going to look like. It's almost impossible to guarantee everyone that everyone's going to be distanced appropriately. So going into a classroom and literally looking at our desks and seeing if they're 6 feet apart, looking at everyone wearing a mask every single day, all day long, looking at how do we eat in the lunchroom? Do we eat in the lunchroom or do we eat inside the classroom? Or do we not have classes that would change from place to place? What about physical education where we have 2 or 3 classes and we have more students in a gym? Is that appropriate? How are we going to clean appropriately every single day and making sure that we really cleanse and disinfect the best we can each one of those classrooms? Folks, we have literally hundreds of classrooms and literally hundreds of seats in our buses and in our classrooms. So those are the conversations that we've got to talk with this committee and really kind of go down that path of really understanding what does cleaning and disinfecting mean, what is the safest way that we can do this and keep our kids and our staff safe, is really going to be our 2 top priorities. And then I would say the third priority has got to be instruction. I mean, I think instructionally we know that a teacher in the classroom a lot of times is the very best way to receive instruction. I don't know about you, but I had more than one tell me that they're ready for their kids to go back to school, that they didn't realize how hard of a job it is to be a teacher. So our teachers do a phenomenal job, but if we are going to do virtual learning for a long period of time next year, we've got a lot of work professional development-wise with our own staff and our own teachers to get us prepared for that. So we're having those conversations and trying to do that. I'm sorry I can't give you a pat answer today of this is what we're going to do, but I will tell you that we are doing everything we know to do to really bring everything to the table so that everybody gets to vet that, have a conversation, and then move forward with the very best thing that we can do. The last thing, and then I'm going to answer questions for you. There is a survey that we're going to make live as soon as I'm done here online on our Muskogee website. We are going to make live a school survey. This survey is going to really give us some information on really what the next stages are. I'm going to share this information with our comeback team, and they're going to look at that and really help them devise their ideas of what they think we should be doing. I'm going to read the questions because I think it's important for everybody to know how important it is to us. Number one, if your school building reopens in the fall, will you send your child? The question really is important for us. How many of our parents are going to send their students back to Muskogee Public Schools. We need to know that. We need to know if it's a full traditional approach, how many will come back. Number 2, if school buildings reopen in the fall, my child rides a bus. We need to know this because our buses right now, we are really full. If you ride a bus and you know this, our buses are really full everywhere in the school district. So we're in the process of looking at potentially purchasing additional buses. The problem that we have is that we do not have drivers. Drivers are really in short supply. They were in short supply before this COVID-19 ever hit, but I will tell you that that's a huge issue for us, is riding a school bus. Number 3 says, my family has taken advantage of the meals provided by the district. We like to know that just simply because we know that a lot of families really took advantage of the meals that we were doing. In fact, we're continuing that all the way through the summer, and very happy to do that, and excited for those families to make sure that they have food. Number 4, remote learning has had a positive effect on my child's education. Number 5, the current distance learning approach supported play-based learning for younger children. I think this one's so interesting because our younger students, you know, it was, I think a lot of you figured out that if you had 45 minutes of homework, to set a child down in the first grade at the kitchen table and say, okay, now let's do all this work, what I bet you found out is that after about 10 or 15 minutes, they needed to go do something else and then come back to that work. So that's something that we've learned through training and all of that, but it's really important for us to understand how did that learning go when you were doing that at home. Number 6, during distance learning, do you feel that your child's teacher supported different ways of learning, meaning differentiating instruction? Were we providing different ways of doing different things? This will help us improve and get better as educators, and will help guide our professional development. Number 7, the contact with my child's teacher was adequate to successfully complete assignments during distance learning. Important for us again because we know that we did what were called really office hours for our teachers and staff, but we also know that there were some that may not have gotten the appropriate feedback. Number 8, if school buildings reopen in the fall, I will feel safer knowing my child is required to wear a face mask and use other safe practices such as social distancing, sanitizer, etc. I think I know a lot of you, really the most precious commodity that we all have is not our homes, our money, our cars. Our most precious commodity is our children. And so we want to make sure that they're staying safe. And we want to know what you feel is that level of expectation. Number 9 says, my family has access to adequate internet service to support online learning. That's very big. I know that we provided you a Chromebook, and we also provided a hotbox or a hotspot. And what happened was, even though we give you hotspots, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can definitely connect to the internet. We want to make sure that every family has the opportunity to do that. Number 10 says, my family has access to adequate technology devices, iPads, Chromebooks, computers to support online learning. I know that we do that, but the interesting thing is that there were more than one student in one household sometimes. Not all of them got hotspots, so we had to deal with some of that. And then number 11 is, please share additional thoughts or concerns you may have. So we want your feedback. We need your feedback. We know that this is so unprecedented. That COVID-19 has changed our world so much, and I realize that. But our biggest thing right now is really getting this feedback from you so that we can actually help make decisions and that we can come out and make those decisions sooner than later. So at this point in time, I'm going to ask Steve Braun, our Director of Communications. He's been kind of watching online, and he's going to ask a few questions, and I'll see if I can entertain any of those here at this time.
Question from, or about graduation, having to wear a mask and taking a picture up on the stage. Will they have to wear that mask at that time?
The question is, do you have to wear a mask when you take the picture? No, what you'll be able to do is take the mask off so we can actually take the picture. Great question, but we had actually had that conversation. But no, you don't have to take the picture with the mask on, and we'll be able to take that off.
Question for those parents that have students that attend Tony Getz with the split sites. Questions regarding before and after Rougher's Kids Quest. What will the offerings kind of look like for them? Has that been decided?
It has not been decided on Rougher's Kids Quest for Tony Getz. We're really trying right now to figure out how that plays out and how we can actually provide that at both sites. It may be that we have a small enough group that wants that, that we may be able to provide it at one or the other. I don't anticipate being able to provide it at both sites, just simply because of really the construction and the site constraints. So we're looking at both of those, and we'll get back to you on that.
Question along those lines as well. Will there be a scattered start time for the two sites at Tony Getz?
Scattered start times at Tony Getz. We're looking at that, and I'll tell you the reason why is because a lot of times families have children, maybe a second grader and a fifth grader, and they both have to be at school at the same time. That's pretty tough. And so our thought process there is that we'll have a gap, either a 15 to 30 minute gap of school start times on both. And so we'll be letting you know how that plays out in the future.
That appears to be just about all of them.
Okay, well, I appreciate those were great questions, and I really appreciate everybody tuning in. We will broadcast this on our website. We have had lots of people really look back and ask more questions. I want to say again, please fill out the survey that's online. It will be live all of next week. We'll turn it off next Monday. So you'll have even through next weekend to actually respond to the survey, and we really appreciate that. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for being in Muskogee. We appreciate you and appreciate what you're doing, and we'll get answers out to you as soon as possible. Thank you, and have a great day.